Everybody, I am Janice Cronetti with the Soaring Solo community. I am the writer and performer of My Year of Saying No, which is my solo show all about how I reclaimed my life during the COVID-19 pandemic by letting go of a bunch of things that weren't working for me so that I could make space for the things that I really wanted in my life, like what's on the board behind me. And I'm here today to share with you 3 tips for playing yourself in your solo show. So a little background on me: when I came into the Soaring Solo work, I came in through sort of a traditional theater path. And so I had spent 30 years, 40 years at that time, doing plays where I played somebody else. I was used to working with an ensemble, not just me, and I was used to playing other people, not playing me. So when I dipped my toe into the storytelling work that eventually led into my solo work, I had to get comfortable playing myself. And I found that that actually was the most challenging character that I had ever played, because I didn't really know exactly how to approach it. And I realized over time that I needed to approach it just like I would approach any other character work. So I have 3 tips for you about how you can do that. And tip number 1 is, to the best that you can, sort of take a step back and try to view yourself from that sort of, that higher level, that observer mind, where you can sort of identify who are all the different versions of you that make up you, because we really do all have multiple versions that live inside of us. And so when I did that, I found that there was the Janice who was going through the COVID-19 pandemic and having a lot of intense emotional experiences. And then there was also the Janice that was sort of the wiser, higher self, that could view things a little bit more objectively and perhaps identify some of the wisdom that was being revealed during a challenging time. So that wiser, higher self became the narrator character in my show. And then I also play the Janice going through the pandemic, who definitely is more emotionally enmeshed in everything that's happening. So once I was able to figure out the different versions of myself that I might want to work with, then I could take all of those skills that I had developed for character analysis and character development when I was playing other people, and I could use those same skills in the process of figuring out the versions of me that I would put in my solo show. And so that was everything from what's the backstory to what's the motivation to doing the physical exploration. How does this person stand? How does this person sit? How do they use their hands? And that physical exploration was really helpful for me in figuring out the home poses that I was going to use for narrator Janice and for Janice. And that was really important for me because a lot of times dialogue goes right between narrator Janice and Janice, and I wanted to be able to have a real clear distinction between those two. So the character work of figuring out what was driving them, and especially identifying that the Janice that was going through COVID was more emotional, was sort of more hot-headed, more in your face, helped me come up with her home pose, who was like this. And then the other aspect of exploring all the different sides of myself was really exploring the significant emotions that are part of the story. So if tip number 1 is to observe yourself and sort of find who the yous are that make up you, and tip number 2 is then use that character work on those versions of you. You can also do that same thing by taking your really intense emotions or significant emotions in the story and turning them into characters as well. That's a lot of the work that I've done with my coaching with Jessica, and some of the character intensives that I've done with Soaring Solo, is really being able to take emotions and shape them into their own character. One of the reasons that was really significant for me is because it made it feel more like the regular theater that I was comfortable with, right? So I wasn't up there just playing myself. I was up there playing different versions of myself. I was up there playing multiple characters, some of whom were my emotions. And that allowed me, again, to take that same character work in terms of how does this emotion talk? How do they stand? How do they sit? How do they communicate with other characters? Helped me leverage all those skills to feel like I was really doing the kind of play that I was comfortable with, and thus to make the solo experience really, really joyful. So hope you can use those 3 tips, and I look forward to working with you and bumping into you in the Soaring Solo community. Thanks.